Careful what you ask for. Last time I told black men to share their stories about their fathers, black women were pissed. Because most of those black men were successful at finding their fathers and learning the truth about what an atrocity their mothers were. See, what you think is you finna hear a whole bunch of stories about black men saying, yeah, I didn't want to be around you because I wasn't ready to have kids. Fuck y'all mama. You're not. You're about to hear stories about how those mothers were verbally abusive to those men. They emasculated them on a regular basis. They sometimes put their hands on them. They called the police. They did everything in their power to get that man out of the house so they can catch up to government assistance and food stamps. You about to hear stories about these men being hit with weapons, having hot liquids poured on them in their sleep, all types. You about to hear stories about how women lied to their mothers about that man being abusive so they could go stay with their mothers, and then the mother put a restraining order out on that man. You sure you want this? Okay. Side note, the gay men on Stitch It watch their stories as well. You'll see the blaring contrast that is so predictable. I'll make a video stitch length, duet their responses, and post it.
Yo, it's Timmy Lee Glean, and I'm coming at you with another video. And you know, this is very unorthodox for me to create this, but like I said, I want my channel to be kind of unique, and my approach and what I want to do with the direction of my channel moving forward. I want to bring true concepts. I want to bring real stuff to you. And like I said, just as a response to that video clip from TikTok, as I want to create more videos off of these TikTok videos, I just want to read through some of the comments from that video that I just had, and just so you can see, because some people just don't be believing when men be speaking about what they be speaking about, and a lot of the single father thoughts that I was bringing forth, and a lot of things that I was saying pertaining to a lot of these single mothers, a lot of people just don't 100% understand. So I just want to bring forth some truth to you, true stories these are from men. They are grown-ups, they are adults, and they get to see how things were, and they get to look back and see what it was. This is just a story, and these things are gonna get sad, some of the ones that I read already. But it says, mom made us lie in court saying my dad was abusive, and if we didn't lie, she would put us in foster homes. She put 2 of the oldest in there, so the rest lied. Didn't see dad for 11 years. This is the short version. She also told us we were mistakes and dated a married man. Cooked him full meals. We ate ramen and got his leftovers. Somebody said, my mom said Pops was the villain whole time. He just wanted some respect. Just as most men, we just want respect. Somebody said, my mama left my dad in an airport in Germany after he sold his house and car to come be with her. That's my story of how my dad left hurt and angry. I have 3 sisters and 2 brothers. One brother and sister, we share the same mother, the other same father. I didn't know my brother and sister from my mom had different dads until high school. Once my mom and dad split, I would hear how terrible my father was, and I know that was a lie. I never heard of my other siblings' dad at all, so this is how I know my dad was the best man she was ever with. He treated all of us as his and their children as his grandchildren till this day. And I'll praise y'all for that. That sounds like a good story. My grandma took over because mom and dad was 15, didn't allow dad to learn to be a dad to me. Didn't meet dad till I was 40. They held the dad back from seeing him. He didn't see his dad till he was 40. He was 40, not the dad. That's crazy. My mom was old school. She never said anything bad about my dad. She just told me who he was, where he lived, and what he did for a living. I found out everything on my own about him. My mom took me away from my dad at 2 weeks old. I only found out from him on his deathbed, and I got exactly 2 weeks time with him. That's 25 years ago, and it still hurts. And somebody said, my father was always in my life, but when I became a man, he didn't owe me an explanation. I already understood what he dealt with from my own experience. Rest in peace, Pop. Basically, some people just experience certain things with their mother, and they just understand. When a lot of these boys grow up and have a baby mama of their own that's similar to their mother, they really understand and they get it. And some people will be bitter until it comes around to them. It's a curse of dishonoring your father. And a lot of these mothers are teaching their sons to dishonor their fathers. And because of that, a lot of these boys are dying. Because to honor your mother and father is the first commandment with promise. Why do you think so many of our boys are dying? My mom hid my dad under the man bed she was cheating on him with. Then tried to go back to him 2 years later, pregnant by neither one of them with my little brother. No, she told us our dads didn't pay child support. My dad was a police officer and my brother dad was in the Navy. I have 2 more siblings as well. My BM downplayed me so bad to PP, I don't know what that is, that when they finally met me and seen how my son react to me, and they apologized to me for dealing with a woman like her, them same people don't fool with her anymore. My mom was toxic. She would throw glass cups at me and dad. She made me hate my own father and kept him away. My mom divorced 2 more times. My dad has been married 30 years to this day. It was her. My pops is the coolest dude ever. It took me years to figure that out. You don't realize stuff until you get into your own relationships. My mom took us from our dad and then didn't buy us anything unless he sent money for it. She drank all day, every day. It never worked. And when I turned 14 and started to question her on why she gave up custody of us to the state and moved to Africa, my mom from Mississippi. Somebody said most men from birth have been taught to see women as angels, chaste and innocent creatures incapable of harm. You must unlearn this. That is true. I believe any man or woman is capable of evil. But one of the evils that we sweep under the rug is the evils of a woman. But there is no wickedness like the wickedness of a woman. It's better to have a plague than that, as it says in Ecclesiasticus. My ex-partner's mother sold him for drugs, and a white woman adopted him, and now he hates black women. A few of my homeboys find out their fathers were great men and that their mothers did everything in their power to keep those men away. I'm in a situation now with my son's mom. She's super toxic, but would likely make me to be the problem if she keeps my son. Luckily, I'm close to all her family, so they know I'm not the problem. Somebody said a lot of mothers are horrible. I'll never understand why men don't fight instead of leaving children with unstable women. That's because, and I was there as well, to get an attorney costs money. We all don't have money. A lot of us are already getting money taken away from us. I'm not in that position, of course. I got sole custody of my children, so I'm blessed to be in this position. But I was in the flip-flop position where I wasn't able to see my children, that my children were being withheld from me, even though I wanted to see my children. So this wasn't a me problem, this was the other parent. A lot of these women will hold a good man back from seeing their children. This is the thing. But instead of fighting, we shouldn't have to fight to see our children. We should never have to fight to see our children. Our children should automatically be accessible to us. And I feel like a woman that doesn't allow a man to see her children, that's low-key child abuse right there. And like I said, the courts and all that stuff, and it's just like, nah, like if you want to take care of it, you go ahead. I'm gonna get myself together, I'm gonna do what I need to do. And if a man is put in a position where he can get himself an attorney and get his children, a lot of men are actually getting custody of their children. This is a thing now. My dad was no hero, but my mom was a straight up full-blown supervillain. I mean, evil plans, black-hearted and all. Like I said, a lot of these women be devising evil plans. My mom cheated on my dad with another man and got pregnant, then retired to put him on child support for my brother that wasn't his. He ended up taking her to court. He tried to stay around, but my stepdad interfered, and honestly, I never respected him for that. And the day my stepdad told me he makes my decisions, I let him know. I let his A know. The house you in My CS pays the mortgage, and why would I listen to you? You're an ex-con and never finished high school. You are too stupid to tell me ish. I went off. My mom stood there, lost. My mom and stepdad are dead now. I never spoke to my real dad. I did join the army like he did, but after having kids, I realized why he was how he was. My mom's husband didn't know his place, and since he wanted my dad's place, he gave it to him. He failed. Somebody says, abusive, manipulative, alcoholic I dealt with as a child. Played my brothers against me. My children's mother did the same to me about them. A vicious cycle. Bro, no lie. 24. Asked to meet him low-key, and bro, my mom snapped. Said I hated her over meeting him. He spilled it all and had letters and emails, texts of her behavior. Shaking my head. Someone says staying ain't a flex if the presence is a negative one. Check the stats on how mom's new boyfriends is usually the greatest danger to a child, not his own. That's something that I mentioned in a lot of my single father thoughts, as a lot of these women will push the biological father away, and then they will keep these other random men around and have these other men. And as I said, a lot of these men be lustful, they be having issues and problems, and this is where a lot of the abuse of the children happens. Rather physical abuse, rather beating the children, or rather molestation or even rape. And these things are real things. They find out their mothers treated their daddies the same way their BM are currently treating them, then realizing. And that's how it happens. My mom tried to get me to lie in court about my dad multiple times just to get him arrested, or later on increase child support. My brother went through hell with his children's mother, but it had nothing to do with receiving government. He chose poorly when it came to a partner. That'd be the thing too. Like, a lot of these men don't vet the woman that they have children with. It's lust. It's usually the spirit of lust, and a lot of people don't like condoms and don't wear condoms, and bam, you just shoot the club up and somebody random, and you don't even know them, or maybe you think you know them or know some things about them, and you know the truth comes out. That's a sad reality though that we live in. I and my brothers watched my mother beat our father. She was a severe alcoholic. She blew all his money and cheated, and got my father to make a loan to get a business, and stuck him with it by leaving him for the previous owner. All men know is horror stories about women. I know of no woman ever doing the right thing when it comes to men or children. It really looks very hopeless for a lot of men. Like when I'm just listening to these stories. Here go one right here, and this is something that I was talking about. In my situation, I was being groomed by a black woman. I was 14, she was 17. Ended up having a kid by her at 15. Now she doesn't let me see him because my name isn't on his birth certificate. So currently, I'm fighting an uphill battle to get custody, even though she has 2 counts of sodomy on a minor and 2 counts of assault, 4th on a minor. My black mother lied to me about my father, about my paternity, and I found out a few months ago. When I confronted her, she played victim. Black grandmother seemed to find some type of sexual joy in being abusive. Got married and that heifer cheated. I'm good. I stay out the way. I ran into some of my mom's old friends, and they told me they used to tell her to stop abusing me, and she constantly spit flame on my father, so I never had respect for him. My mom used to put her hands on my dad while he was driving, and my sister and I was in the car. I was mentioning as well that the domestic violence issues is actually, the women have become more problematic in the Western world than the man now. It's just now that it's still the narrative, the dominant narrative, that these men and the patriarchy and all that is abusive. You know, where statistically it's actually 50-50. But like I said, I believe that some stories could be fabricated. Some people can take the woman's side. And even if a man defends himself against a woman, not even a punch or a kick or anything, just a simple defend yourself, deflect punches and kicks and stuff like that, or a man that has to like toss a woman or throw her or slam her and things like that, then it can be considered double-sided, even if it's one-sided. You know, so I'm not trying to speak from a bias because I'm a man. I'm just speaking from a certain perspective. And I mean, there are hundreds of comments. Hundreds of comments. And these are just stories from the people that follow this brother. Told my dad what my life was like as a child. He demanded my mother's phone number. After they had a long convo, she admitted she had mistreated for 31 years because she was still mad at him. So she mistreated him because she was still mad at him for 31 years. Becoming a father and dealing with the kid's mother made me realize the father isn't always to blame. Just leaving just because he doesn't want to be a father is the biggest lie. It be the mothers. That's my story. And then a lot of people don't understand why men leave. Like I'm not gonna read any more comments because it's just a lot, you know, but I think that you get enough. It's so many women out here that are just hurtful, that wants to destroy a man's life, and she will use the children to do it. And it's a sad thing. And then we group these mothers in with the good mothers. And then it be some good mothers and some active mothers that will include these women and say, oh, they're mothers. And people say, well, they need their mothers. And for the sake of needing their mothers, you're raising up damaged boys that these future girls are going to complain about. So these girls are going to complain about these boys because of how they were raised. But if they're not raised by a man and intentionally pushing away the fathers out of the homes, and now they have an abusive mother to raise them, now they're only going to be raised up in pain and suffering. Either that, or it's a man that's in the house but he's a weak man. So now you have an abusive, domineering woman. She's emasculating the man in the house. So now you're a man that grew up watching your father be emasculated, and men usually get tired of that, and men don't deal with disrespect well. So a man that endures disrespect and deals with it for decades, that's a man that's gonna die early. And that's a man that lives a sad life, and he might live this sacrificial life, and this woman gonna be cheating on him, and she's gonna be abusing him and talking to him whatever kind of way. All this always comes back around because a lot of these women be angry and they be bitter, and most likely they're going to die alone. And it's sad to say that, but this is usually how this happens. A lot of these women be 50 plus, 60 alone, nobody there. A lot of them start going to church and then hide behind the church, but their hearts are still wicked. You know these people already. You know them. Trust and believe. These same kind of women will try to hide behind God and use God as a cover-up. Never be accountable for their actions. Never be accountable for how they treated their children, how they raised their children, how they treated their daughters. Because a lot of these daughters are treated terribly. They treat their daughters like competition. Now these daughters are being raised up by a hateful mother, by a mother that don't love them. A mother that verbally abuses them. They might physically abuse their daughters. So it ain't just the sons. But these are just comments from sons. But man, these girls be going through it too. They really do. These mothers are terrible. And what men need to stop doing is stop shooting their seed up in these women. That's pretty much what they need to stop doing. Men need to, and this is why men are on semen retention now. This is why men are striving to live pure lives. This is why men are turning away from the modern woman and just the modern day culture. And I just look at, you know, somebody that listens to Sexy Reds and Nicki Minaj's and Cardi B's, and I'm always mention those 3 or 4, you know, like female rappers that are, you know, it's misandrous. There's a lot of misandry in the music, a lot of down talking on men. You could tell just the certain behaviors, and you could tell there's a certain psychology to even listen to these music artists. There's a certain kind of man that's going to be ran over if they allow this woman in their life. Men are turning away from this kind of woman. Men are turned off by this kind of woman. And because men actually desire wives, quite frankly. And if a man doesn't see certain qualities in a woman, then... But men are tired. They're seeing the statistics of not just domestic violence, but with marriage and divorce, and how women are just divorcing men left and right, not for abuse and not for cheating, just because they bored, because there's no drama, because there's no this, because there's no that, there's no excitement, there's no this. You know, a lot of women would settle for the nice guy, realize this nice guy is boring, this nice guy is safe, you know, but he's not enough. I need more. I need excitement. I need this. And what I kind of agree in a sense, but if you chose to marry somebody, then you're not really supposed to divorce just because you're bored. That's not a legal grounds for divorce, and it's the sin of adultery if you divorce and get with somebody else after you marry. But also, a lot of these covenants aren't covenants of the Most High, because what the Most High brings together, let no man put asunder. So if two people got together and the Most High didn't bring it together, it was lust, or it was by trauma bonding, or just whatever other fleshly reasons. But yo, I hope you've been blessed by this though, and may the Most High bless you in Yahushua's name, and be careful who you with.